Alright guys, these are veil bangs, super sexy, really long version. Love these bangs, one of my favorite techniques to do in the salon. Watch while I explain, we can explore how we do it. Alright guys, today I'm super excited. We're going to be working on the veil bang. Veil bang is like the prettiest, sexiest bang there is in my opinion. Excited today because we get to do it on a long haired shape, which is my preference. I prefer it to be on long. I prefer it to have this softness and like ethereal quality to it. There's a lot going on with the bang. In order to do it at a top flight level, you really have to understand hairdressing and the technique of it all. I'm going to go into a gross amount of detail today. I have my like fancy hat on, so you know I'm serious. Let's just walk through that in just like a gross amount of detail right now. Alright, for this longer veil bang, we're going to be talking about how this shape enters the entrance point of the bang, which is going to be kind of like jagged and piecey coming down. And then we're just going to start to slip back, okay? In a shorter version, we might come back a little bit more, but in a longer version, we're going to kind of walk it back but down the whole way, right? Continuing that drop. It needs to be like a straight up and down. Because here's the key, you can't have a heavy, ledgy weight line anywhere in this bang, okay? And then you have to have this like sexy blend out as we come to the corner, right? That's the most important thing. We need to be able to have this long dip out that allows the exit point to softly enter into the entrance point of the forward graduation. We're gonna take that section there, that hair is gonna come down off of that triangle of the bang, and that bang is gonna be whatever kind of falls over the recession area, okay? You can't choose like a thinner or a thicker bang. You can choose a thinner center or a thicker center to get more brokenness and more pieciness at the center. The key to it is it can't be too perfect. It's gotta look a little jagged, a little rough. Hair's gotta be able to fall out spectacular ways depending on where they push the hair around. Or like just like, you know, they throw their hands through the hair and then when it pops back down in the front, it can't be wet, weighty, or ledgy. It has to be like super soft and movable in order to keep that sexiness to it. And then you're basically gonna just repeat this process on the other side. Talking about is like through the entrance point, that sectioning pattern for the bang, we're going to think about the hair as a little bit thinner, right? As we move into the middle, that middle section of the bang, we're going to talk about leaving it a little bit heavier, but still softening and slicing through that section. And then when we get to the end, we're going to be edging through it, carving through it, whatever we can to get that negative space, but not lose the weight and strength of the length. That's key, right? Because that's the part that's above the recession. Because of the deep recession there's typically less hair in this section, but that hair has to be the transition, so you need the weight for the transition. You need to keep as much of that weight as possible, but we need to bang in some negative space in there to allow that hair to sit back and stay sexy, right? And that's also going to help encourage kind of a weight shift between where the exterior or the exit point of the bang slams into the entrance point of the forward graduation. Right there, we need to do some weight manipulation to have those two blend together, because often what you see is people do a nice bang and then they've got this like triangle of weight that hangs down right at the entrance point of the forward graduation. Huge conflict area in the salon. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see in the industry. Every time I get a new guest, I know that's gonna be there. Just point it out so you can make sure that you're cleaning that up when you're going in and doing your bang. All right, I'm just gonna comb her out. And this can be center or it can be slightly off center. You're typically not gonna do too much from one side to the other because it would thin out the weak side on, if you parted on the left side, it would thin out that weak side over there. If you parted it on the right side, it would thin out the weak side over here. You don't really want to get into thinning the hair out, so we're basically stuck in a kind of a center part on this bang technique. And I'm taking everything that's going to fall over the recession without hitting that lower recession. So it basically just took out that section. This is anything that's going to fall forward. This is quite heavy on her. Cool thing is we're going to have a lot to do. We're going to have a lot of work, a lot of manipulation. We just finished this section. This is everything that's going to fall forward. It's actually quite a lot of hair, so we're going to have a lot of work to do, which is really cool. Basically, you're just going to take this down the center, and I want to do this as much as I can in a single pass. So I'm going to just come down and kind of edge off that hair, all right? And that's my first pass. It's pretty thick. We're gonna leave this a little bit longer because the mannequin heads have a smaller face compared to an actual guest. I'm gonna leave this a touch longer so it's more realistic for a real guest. And so checking out my entrance, I'm kind of going with the texture of the mannequin here, taking just a slight piece of the other one. I don't want it to match, so I'm not going to hit it exactly. And then I'm just trying to figure out where my balance is going to be on the sides. And then elevating softly, go in there slow because we don't want to do anything crazy with our scissors. And then start to edge back, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and just peel that hair off. And you can see how it gets this natural, kicky, piecey thing on it. Nothing too solid. That's the key to this. Right off the bat, that's nothing. This is just us trying to bang our shape in there as quick as possible. All right, now I'm going to do a pass where I just kind of concentrate on edging out entrance point. Same thing on the other side. So what I'm trying to do there is soften, almost do its own forward graduation just to the entrance point of both sides of that. And then you can start to see, I'm gonna peel off into this beautiful veil right off of the bat. So we got our nice entrance point. It comes way out, which is super sexy on this. And this is the key to the veil. Typically, I would just go ahead and do the whole haircut and then dry this off. And then we're gonna attack all of the rest of it dry when we can see it visually. All right, so we've dried this off. I basically just hand dried it. I didn't do too much crazy stuff. There's a couple kicks in the rest of the hair from a cushion brush. I do this the same way in the salon. I kind of air dry it and push it into those shapes using my fingers to kind of put it into place because I don't want to over style here. One thing that I want the hair to do, I want the hair to be almost as if they woke up that morning. The key here is I want to basically take their hair and make it better. I want to take it at its worst, the worst spot it's ever going to be in, and let's make it better, okay? So when they push in the hair around, they don't have to do a lot of styling. You've cut the style into it, so they don't have to go in with a curling iron. They don't have to pin curl it up to the sides, set that kick over. It's cut in. The key to what's going on with this haircut. As you see, I just kind of edged it off, and this is almost good enough on its own, except for we want to make it spectacular, so we're going to add a little bit more. Most people stop at the wet cut, and that's a huge mistake because that's your technical cut, that's your wet cut, that's your shape. That's not the finish, that's not your visual cut. What separates us as hairdressers is that visual cut. That's what gives it the personality of us, and this is where our skills shine, okay? That dry cut, that finish cut. All of the technique there that you've been hoarding your whole career can now be on display. Let's start this more from a layer perspective, okay? So now I have the exterior, and I want to start to shift some weight on the interior and make this a little bit more playful. Exterior, then we're gonna kind of work on our layering of the bang, and then we're gonna go into our carving, our negative space, our slicing, our piecing, our thinning. And the first thing I'm gonna do, because I want this to be a little bit finer in the center, I'm gonna pick up that center section first, okay? And on this center section, it's gonna be like a loose idea of where that hair is gonna fall in the center. All right, so I'm gonna pick that center up. And there's really no use, you can just kind of visually pick it up. And I'm gonna be thinking about this as fining. So just gonna fine. I don't want to hit the exterior too much, so I'm gonna stay on that middle to this back end of this. And I don't want any kind of weight line. I also want to keep some shape, right? So when I peel that down, when you look at it from this profile perspective, I just want this layered and I don't want any of it to fall on the length. And now what I'm gonna do, work from the center over with the weight. So we're gonna pick up that middle, leaving out the exterior, picking up the weight of that middle, and now I'm gonna slice. So I'm gonna come in a little bit on a diagonal, and I'm gonna then walk my fingers up and kind of layer off that middle. And when we drop that, it's gonna give us a little more light to the center of that right side there. Now I'm gonna go into the exterior, and this is gonna be heavy typically on a real client. It's a little lighter on a mannequin. And typically what I'll do here is kind of layer it off and let it go to the end, and that's it. That's kind of the layers of that. Then I'm gonna move over back to this left side and go through the center, through the middle, because I already did the center of that entrance point. And then the same thing, I'm gonna come back to that slicing and really try to soften that up, add some negative space in there. And then we're gonna get into this end, right? And we wanna keep it heavy, so I'm gonna come up. And on this one, I'm just gonna kind of piece through a little bit. It's almost more of a carving, so I'm almost coming in from the side, piecing through. I'll lift it up one more time and layer. Not cutting the exterior, so we still wanna keep that whole shape we already put in. So we're gonna take this and start to mess around with it visually. See what we're liking or not. So if there's like a natural kick in it or something, I'm gonna go with it. I'm mostly gonna work on interior entrance point going over into that middle first. So I'm gonna come in, lifting it up, one to soften, but also two to protect the face. And then I'm just gonna edge that off a little bit on that corner, all right? And now what I'm gonna do is start to come on the entrance and just really visually unlock the haircut by letting that center swoop over and down. And it's just slightly, we don't wanna go crazy. Like right now you see that the weight line kind of the way the entrance point of this side comes, it comes in a little square. So what I'm trying to do is just unlock the entrance point a little bit and soften down into that, take that corner off. Now notice I'm coming almost straight down, I'm not coming back yet. And that's gonna give me that like beautiful entrance point into the bang there. And then what I'm gonna do is I might come in here and do some back cutting, just to kind of, on very delicate back cutting, just to kind of add some spots, some bits that don't make any sense, okay? That's like, that's kind of that playfulness. When they pop it around, you'll get some bits that pop out here and there. And you might just kind of push it off to the side and then pop one in if you want. That's totally up to you. I don't really do that too much. I just kind of let the hair do what it's gonna do. And then once I get that shape in there, then I'm just gonna carve in some negative space and be a little bit more aggressive. So right here, I'm gonna add to the areas that are already thin. I'm not gonna thin through or slice into any areas that are already a little thicker because I wanna keep the weight. People always think you're thinning. You're not thinning, you're just adding movement and negative space, that's it. So as I come into the side, and it's coming straight down here, I can get into more of a carving side from the side and allow that hair to kind of kick back a little more and get off into the side. And then I just basically visually will peel through the exterior. Because I do want it to be somewhat solid, right? So it has shape. You don't want fish hooks coming down right there. All right, same thing on this side, kind of edging down, really working on that shape. And on this side, I'm doing kind of more of the exterior first, and then same thing. I might kind of fine off some of that entrance, kind of slide through there, get some negative space, more of a carving as I enter for a graduation area, and then just coming back, and I can just delicately hit some bits here in the front, right on that entrance point of the the bang, the entrance point of the bang. And then, boom, just help encourage that kickoff to the side. So just kind of visually from there, finishing the whole shape off, using my eye, something that can't be taught, right? You can practice this your whole career, develop your own eye and develop your own taste. And feel like I have a certain feel in my hairdressing, so I just want to come back in and pop that feel in there at the end. With all of my hairdressing, loose and sexy wins the day, nothing overly done, very undone feel to the way I style and cut. I like hair to kind of feel like it woke up that way, super sexy, really unbeatable at the end of the day. I love it. These bangs are some of the hottest bangs you can give a guest. Do not take this lightly. It's a lot of work. Just work on exterior first, get that underway, then start to pop in some layering on guests, and then you can start to dry cut and visually cut with time. This is the process to get there. It took me years and years and years to like understand what I was doing here. It's a really sexy bang and it works in almost any shape. On a real guest at this length, gonna be super sexy, soft and beautiful and wearable. Just really loving that straight up and down, real big sweep, right? straight up and down, real big sweep. Bangs are gonna style themselves. I don't have to go in here. I actually didn't use any gel or anything. I hand styled the bangs. I didn't put a brush in them. I mean, it's as easy as pie once you cut it in there. Then the guests will love you forever. They'll come back 1 or 2 times in between every haircut to do this because they can't do this at home. It's really difficult even for professionals to do this technique. Lean on this technique, let it be the separator, let it be what separates you from everybody else in the salon. Super sexy, it works at like a bunch of different lengths. Don't be afraid to creep up on the lengths because it works on every different length. As you get shorter, you get a little more mullety, you can go a little shorter with the bang. That'll make sense with it as well. Key to it is lots of life, lots of volume, lots of kickiness. Have fun, enjoy it. Okay guys, that's the finished look. Just to recap, it's really about edging off that exterior line first, kind of working finer in the center and then getting heavier as we go over, and going from fined out to more negative space as we get to that exit point of the bangs. And then coming back through and just doing lots of detail and putting those little bits in that like make all the difference in the world. Like cut a little short bit, poking through, so a little sexiness. Nothing can look weighty, it all has to just be little bits, okay? You can't go in and put any weight lines in this haircut. It grows out beautifully. These bangs complement just about every haircut. Play with it in the salon. If you guys have any questions, write them on underneath down below. Huge fan. I can answer a lot of that. I use a ton of vernacular from the salon in here. We have a vernacular for how we speak in the salon every day for just Immortal Beloved. It's almost our own language. It's how we communicate. So sometimes those words might not translate to your vernacular in your salon or in your area. So if you have any questions about those, shoot them below. I'll try to explain them the best I can. Thanks for looking. Thanks for allowing me to share this knowledge with you guys. I really hope it impacts you in a small way. And if it does, write me and tell me. This is why we do it. This is why we get up out of bed in the morning. I love doing this for you guys. I love sharing this information. And I just hope it helps.